My talk today is on generative AI, a term that all of you are familiar with. But if you think about my perspective, I've been working on AI since 1980. When I entered Columbia in my sophomore year, I had two professors who taught me natural language processing and computer vision. And I felt this is the most important thing I needed to dedicate my life to. But throughout the first 35 years or so, I felt maybe in my life I would not see AI change the world. Maybe I would not see AI become used indispensable, and I would not see AI reach AGI in a way that will make it as intelligent as humans. But I was proven wrong. In the last 7 years, since the invention of Transformer and on top of deep learning, generative AI is taken over the world by storm. ChatGPT is a product that all of us use, and it's only the beginning. GenAI is not about a chatbot. It's really about the ability to generalize, understand, and reason and inference at a level that's already, in most cases, much better than any of us, faster than all of us, and soon better than all of us as we reach AGI. So this is really the most amazing moment to be alive. If I could have one wish, I only wish I could be younger like you, so that I can experience it in an entire lifetime, as opposed to the last but the most powerful highlight in my career. So what is generative AI? It is really very similar if you compare with people, right? People, we have brains, we go through education, we learn to think generally, then we learn to become professional and specific, right? When you go to college, your high school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, you become well-rounded. You access a lot of knowledge. You read thousands of books, and you go through curricula, and then after college, you either get a job or an advanced degree, then you become an expert in whatever it is that you do, whether it is in government, in data science, or in biology, or some such area, and become a professional. That is the way in which we people grow up and become, quote unquote, intelligent. Now, it's really the same as for an AI. What AI does is it also studies, except that it reads not just hundreds of textbooks, hundreds of novels, hundreds of math books, and research papers. It reads everything in the world. So that's the difference. So that is usually called pre-training. It's the process in which AI reads everything. And it teaches itself to organize pieces of information. It starts to learn Kazakhstan is a country, and it learns Beijing is a city. It learns the chemical table. It learns multiplication. So it kind of learns by reading everything. So the advantage over people is that we can only read thousands of books, but AI can read everything. And that's one reason why AI is so powerful in pre-training. But it doesn't memorize everything. The pre-training process is very interesting. We only give a LLM about 5% the memory that it takes. So if you give it 100 T of data, you probably only give it 5 T of memory. So why is that? Because if you give it 100 T of memory to learn 100 T of books, it will just memorize everything and generalize nothing. So one of the magical ratios people derived is, okay, if we make a brain that's 5T, and then we give it 100T and say, go teach yourself, but all you can remember is 5T, then it's forced to generalize. Then it will say, MIT is kind of like Caltech, so maybe I can combine them together, right? It will learn that, okay, Japan and Korea are kind of close, so maybe they can be used synonymously. Maybe AI and machine learning is somewhat similar. So that's why when you use an LLM, sometimes it doesn't seem to know everything. It's like, you read every book, how come you cannot play back something perfectly? Because it's compressed. The process of compression forces it to generalize. Humans compress at a much bigger level, right? How many of you can memorize any book? The process for us, as we grow up reading a book, right? If you read the Holy Quran, right? You learn everything that's important to you, but you probably cannot recite the whole book. But that's the whole point. If all we do is recite, what have we done for understanding, right? So understand the key concepts, create your own concept space. And within that concept space, you have categories, generalization. Then you have the ability to inference, reason, make decisions, make recommendations, make predictions. So that is the power of pre-training. So fundamentally, what OpenAI taught all of us is that if you teach AI with this 20-to-1 compression, you give it the whole world's data, you give it 5% of the memory, and you use this kind of algorithm called transformer, it will learn in a way that I described. Then afterwards, so that's like going to college, except this kid, the LLM kid, did much better than all of us. It read much, much more, okay? So it's encyclopedic. So that's why it's so powerful. But now, if you want to just use a generally pre-trained model and say, well, you become a customer service rep, it's not going to be very good at it. It doesn't know your company. If you say be an accountant, well, it doesn't know all the new accounting laws. If you want to tell it to defend the case in court, it doesn't know the case. So now what you've got to do is do what's called fine-tuning, sometimes called post-train, SFT, DPO, reinforcement learning. These are all categories of things that aligns AI in a way for a task, for a language, for a way of thinking, for a value. So there are many things that are different for each culture. So some controversial issues, like the Russian-Ukraine conflict or the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Well, in America, if you want to build a model, you want to align to the American view. Otherwise, Americans will be unhappy. But if you align it to the American view, people in Kazakhstan might be unhappy. So, but anyway, that's in the process of alignment is specific to countries and specific to companies. You might want to align it in one way that's suitable for a reporter, but you might want to align it differently to someone writing a script for a movie. So depending on the task, the goals, your values, your beliefs, your country, this one generic model, pre-trained, can be aligned many, many, many different ways. And that's why when you use ChatGPT or our model or another model, they don't behave the same because they're being aligned for specific applications. And that's the process of alignment. And then lastly, prompting. Prompting is for you to use. As when you use ChatGPT, many people say, well, ChatGPT is not that smart. I ask it a question, what's the meaning of life? Gives me the pretty general answer. I ask it some, tell me the news today. It doesn't even know the news today. That's not very smart. Well, that's not the problem of ChatGPT. It is mainly that you need to ask good questions. So we have now moved into the century of needing to ask good questions. For you and your children to excel in your career, it's not so much about giving a great answer. It's about how to ask a great question so that the LLM can give you a great answer. There are many, many tricks you may have read about. If you just say, what's the meaning of life, it won't say very much. But if you give very specifics to you, first you have to sometimes compliment the LLM. You have to say, you're a famous psychiatrist with the brilliance of Freud, and you're an excellent communicator just like Ronald Reagan. And I am a distressed child who's considering suicide. Now, please tell me what's the meaning of life in a way that I will treasure my life and live it to my fullest. Then you'll get a good answer. So next time you're unhappy with ChatGPT, think, how should you ask the question? I mean, there's a lot on the internet about prompting. I won't go into details. But I think the essence for all of you is that with a powerful tool like this, you need to use it right? It's like when Google first came out. If all you do is Astana weather, well, Yahoo could do that. What's the big deal? But Google is great in long-tail queries, that it could find things, academic papers and answers in such a way you just have to know how to use it properly. Of course, it's been 20 plus years. We all know how to use Google now, but we don't yet know how to use LLM. And the trick of using a good search engine is to ask the right way. The trick to use a ChatGPT or an LLM is to ask the right question. It's all online. So now we've explained generative AI is pre-training with all the data in the world, and then fine-tuning to specific applications, and use it very wisely with experience. And that's how you get the most out of it. So it's just like a human going through college, going through professional. Now the AI goes through college in pre-training and goes through grad school or on-the-job training in its post-training. Now, AI is getting smarter all the time. This is a picture of what's called MMLU. It's not that useful anymore, but it gives you an indication. If you think about any area, this is basically an IQ measure. It's giving it questions and seeing what percentage does AI answer correctly. So you might say, oh, and now the best system answers 92%. Is that pretty good? That's like an A minus. It's not that good, is it? But humans only do 34%. So on the issue of asking a multiple choice question, it is now way outperforming human by a huge amount. I would say that if you ask 100 questions and all of us can work together, we probably cannot reach 80%. Yet AI can do over 90%. That's how smart it is. Okay? And also think how much it's improved. It was only 2 years ago when AI couldn't do 70%. Now it's doing over 90%. Think about how fast that's improving. Have you ever seen anything, think about it, 2 years ago it was making 32 mistakes per 100. Now it's making 8 mistakes, right? So it's got 4 times better. Do you own a car that can go 4 times faster? No, right? Do you own a TV that's 4 times larger? No, this is getting fast. It's such an amazing speed. And this is not just the size. This is intelligence. This is brilliance. So it's improving at an amazing speed. So even if today you're saying, well, it doesn't seem perfect to me, but think about the trajectory. And it hasn't stopped improving. It's also becoming multimodal. It's able to understand images, tables. It's able to understand videos. It's able to generate images and videos from a textual description. This is called multi-modality. So it's not just like humans didn't grow up just reading text. Humans also look at the world, look at videos, look at images. So we learn with the world model around this, and that's where AI is also going. Here's an example of text to video. This is an example. I saw some very nice text to video demos at the hub, but here is probably state-of-the-art, made with Google's best technology. This is a full short movie made completely by AI. So a human types prompts, and then AI created this whole video. Nothing in this video was shot by a camera. There's no actor who looks like this actor. This car doesn't exist. The buildings don't exist. The car in fire doesn't exist. So you can now see that AI is doing something that only 2 years ago we would have thought would be completely impossible. It's a 5-minute film, so I won't go into details, but it gives you the idea of how fast this technology is improving in text understanding, in intelligence, and in multimodality. So if you think about where does this intelligence come from? Well, where do the human capabilities come from, right? We might have a bigger brain, more neurons. We might have more energy in our neurons. We might absorb more data to teach our brain to be smarter. And maybe that's what makes a smart person and a less smart person different. Similarly, AI gets better through 3 things. One is give it more compute power, more GPUs. Secondly, make bigger models. And then thirdly, use larger data sets. So that has been the traditional way called the scaling law. So you throw more data and more GPUs, it just gets better. This is very interesting because historically, we've not seen this kind of improvement. You actually don't have to change anything. You just give it more data, give it more computers, it simply gets smarter. And also, the other thing that's amazing is that AI gets cheaper. So this graph, I won't go into the details, but you can see the cost of OpenAI models have come down 10 times a year. So again, think about this for anything you own. Do you own anything that price drops 10 times a year. Did your car go from $30,000 to $3,000 to $300 to $30 year after year? No. So we're experiencing this exponential growth because it's getting smarter at 4 times every 2 years. It's getting better by throwing more GPUs at it, and it's getting cheaper 10 times a year. So if you have any doubt about GenAI, hopefully this trajectory will convince you that this technology is already super smart and will get so much better, so much smarter, so much cheaper over time. So that is the power of GenAI, and that's why I'm so excited about it. So now all of that intelligence, AGI, scaling law, that's all very nice. But what about the real world, right? When all of us go back to our work, how does this change? And I think the best way to think about it in business terms, because many of you are in business, is like the PC revolution or the mobile internet revolution, right? We've experienced 2 revolutions. Some of you here, like me, have been through both. The younger ones of you maybe only saw the mobile, but this is the level of change, right? We study, the people who study economics think about GDP, and we saw that the biggest increase of GDP in any period of time was either in PC era or mobile era. What that means is the world became more productive as we found uses of PC, as we went from typewriters to PCs, as we use PCs to replace all kinds of old ways of creating content, desktop publishing, accounting, legal, all the work was transformed. So humans always do the same things, right? We've always have to work, play, learn, and have fun. These are the 4 things we've always done since thousands of years ago. But we do them differently once the PC arrives, right? Before you go to a video arcade, and when the PC arrived, you play a PC game. And before you went to a movie theater, when the PC arrived, you could watch YouTube. And the list goes on, right? And then when mobile came, the same thing happened. We still do the same things, but the way in which we do them changed. When in the PC era, video was watching YouTube on your PC. The mobile era is watching TikTok on your phone, right? So it changes. So that creates new ways of doing things, new ways of entertainment. People are still entertained by video. People are still becoming productive through their phones and PCs, but they're doing so in different ways. So the value proposition of the PC era was a computer on every desktop, something all of us take for granted. But when I was in college, that was a bold statement. When Bill Gates said, our goal at Microsoft was to put a PC on every desktop, most people thought he was crazy. But when that was accomplished, it transformed everything, especially work. So mobile phone is anywhere, anytime computing. So you would be able to use it anytime, and it knows where you are. And that's, of course, as powerful, if not more powerful, than PC. So during those 2 periods, we saw CAGR grow faster during the PC era and the mobile era. And when everything was saturated, the GDP grew slow. So it went fast during the PC era, then it saturated. Then fast during the mobile era, then saturated. But now comes the AI era. And we're at the very beginning of that. We will see huge productivity gains, huge GDP gains. Because if you think about it, AI is going to be doing a lot of our work for us, freeing our time to do more things. Everyone can be 2, 3 times more productive by using AI in addition to the person itself. So it's got to make more money. It's got to create more wealth. The world will be better off. So we're about to see the 3rd big jump. Another way to think about it is if PC was computer on every desktop and mobile was anywhere, anytime computing, what is AI? AI is super intelligence in every application. That you have something smarter than yourself in every app that can do things for you, that can write for you, can answer your questions, can know what you want more than you know yourself. Think about that power. So that increased trajectory should be higher than the PC or mobile. So even if you don't like talking about intelligence, AGI is all very fancy stuff, but this affects all of us. The economies, the countries that embrace AI will be better off. That because they jumped earlier. And AI is playing a huge role, not just in making money, right? We saw this year, Nobel Prize was won by 2 AI scientists. One was Jeff Hinton, and the other was Demis Hassabis, based on the work of using transformers and based on the work of using GenAI to predict 3D structure of proteins. So that is historical, that 2 AI scientists made breakthroughs and won Nobel Prize in non-AI areas. There is no AI Nobel Prize, but AI is so powerful that even though there's no AI Nobel Prize, there's no computer science Nobel Prize, but these 2 AI scientists still make breakthroughs in important fundamental scientific domains. And I would predict in the next 2 or 3 years, we are likely to see AI make more breakthroughs and win more Nobel Prizes, including one day, I think AI will win an Oscar. AI should win Nobel Prize for Literature, and AI will win a Nobel equivalent prize in medicine, and it will come up with mathematical breakthroughs. So AI is about to reach a tipping point where AI is so smart, it can teach itself and it can improve itself without human supervision. And when that happens, this is not about one scientist programming AI to win a Nobel Prize. This is AI teaching, a big AI teaching little AIs that can win Nobel Prizes. We're going to see many, many cures for many incurable diseases because we've never been able to train these thousands and millions of super AI Nobel quality AI agents. This is all going to happen, not in 30 years. It's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. AI has been great in diagnosing diseases, predicting climate change. So some of the biggest problems of humanity are beginning to be solved with AI. Now back to the work, right? We all use mobile apps. Those apps all changed from PC to mobile. I gave you the example of YouTube to TikTok. It's but one example. You can read about all the others. But what's going to happen is that in every time, if you think about PC to mobile, now to AI, the right side shows you the way in which the applications start to change because of the medium, right? When PC appeared, the first things were, productivity, like Microsoft Office, search, like Yahoo, and then mobile and social, like MySpace and Facebook and YouTube, and then local and e-commerce, like Amazon. That was the PC era. Then comes the mobile era, right? Productivity, new apps start to emerge. People are writing HTML, H5, mobile apps, App Store, that's the productivity. Search, people now relied on Google, and now there's going to be new kinds of searches. And in mobile, people started using TikTok. Social, people started using Instagram, and WeChat and WhatsApp. And then with local e-commerce, Uber and other products emerged. So mobile basically changed everything. Now AI is going through the same path. First productivity, then search, then multimodal, social, and then commerce. So just watch over the next 2 years. These apps will be rewritten. They won't just be your old mobile app with a little assistant. They'll be fundamentally new apps written in an AI-first kind of way. So you might ask, well, what's AI first? So let me explain what's mobile first. Mobile first means if you must run it on the phone to get its full benefit. So for example, Uber on the PC, that doesn't make any sense because your PC is stationary, right? You want the car to come to wherever you are. So Uber only works on the phone, and that means Uber is mobile first. Microsoft Office is not mobile first. So hopefully it gives you an idea. The thing only works on the phone. When you throw away the power of the phone, anywhere, anytime knows where you are, it stops working. That's not mobile first. So AI first means if you throw away the large language model, it stops working. Okay? So in that sense, Microsoft Copilot is not really AI first because you still start with a blank document and you type your document. AI first should be LLM must be there. LLM should write everything for me. Then if I don't like it, I'll reprompt it. I'll maybe edit it. So that's the right way to think about it, is that you use speech and language as an interface, and that LLM performs a required function without which the app has no meaning. So that hopefully gives you an idea of what's AI first. So we'll be seeing AI first apps throughout. So I'll show you some example. Here's one AI first app that my company created. So here is an example called Pop AI. And so here's an example that it can read a document, and then you can ask questions about it. It can, in fact, load 20 different pictures, 20 PDFs, and you can circle a picture and ask it about the picture. And it physically has no place for you to do writing. So it's different from Microsoft Copilot, because you're not doing the writing. AI is doing the writing. So you can also decide to ask Pop AI to create a PowerPoint for you. So we want to create a PowerPoint about visiting Kazakhstan, so it creates it. This is not human created. This is AI created. So I would encourage you to try it. It's called Pop AI. It's free to use. Unless you use it a lot, then you have to pay. But it's kind of like ChatGPT, except it's focused on how do you build a Microsoft Office around an AI-first kind of way. So that's just an example. There are many other tools that are very good. But let's talk about search. We said productivity is first, search is second. I worked for many years at Google, 4 years at Google, and during which we had a very funny meeting where Larry and Sergey were getting animated. So Larry jumped up and said, Google is the wrong search engine. This was around 2005. Okay. Google is the wrong search engine. People don't want to type a bunch of words and they get a bunch of links. People want to ask one question and get one right answer. So we thought that was profound. And then Sergey jumped in and also one ad. Of course, he's got to make money, right? And then I think if I were to improvise, I would say, and one ad when it helps the user. Then you've got the perfect search engine, right? Because fundamentally, what is search? We actually don't really want a search engine. We want an answer engine. We have questions all the time. We want to know about some fact. Why is it so? And you want it to give you the answer. But we've now broken down the task to say, if I want to know, why does Elon Musk want to be in government? You know, he's a brilliant entrepreneur and innovator. Why would he want to be in government? Shouldn't he do what he's good at? And that's your question. You should be able to ask it and get the answer. But instead, we're now thinking Elon Musk government. Why Elon Musk government? Elon Musk entrepreneur versus government. You start trying all these Google searches and look for, you hope some high quality writer, like from New York Times, wrote a piece, then you click, I found it. But what if there is no such article? What if Google didn't surface it? What if it's somewhere in WeChat or in Instagram? What if it's in a video or YouTube? What's the likelihood you'll find the answer by taking pieces of a word? I think the time has come because we have LLMs. LLMs know everything. And there's an important technology called RAG, R-A-G, that is Retrieval Augmented Generation. What that means is, hey, let's not just ask a ChatGPT a question. Let's ask the whole internet a question. And let's ask all the credible factual databases. So the right way to have the search engine is, first, you want to do a bunch of Google searches, just like humans do. But why make us do it? Let's have the search engine do it. Secondly, you want to have all the recent news from all the top news media in your country and US and all the other countries. Thirdly, you have a bunch of factual databases like Wikipedia, WebMD. Then lastly, you have the LLM. So the way this system works is, when I ask a question is, why would Elon Musk work in the government? It breaks down into a bunch of Google queries, gets the answers, then it goes to all the news, it goes to all the credible sources, it goes to all the factual things and grabs all the things that are relevant and asks an LLM to reorganize all that content and answer with the factual part augmented by the LLM's own knowledge. So now we've created a giant system that can answer any question. That system is the ultimate search engine. And then I think if we look at the other value of GenAI, right? We kind of covered the consumer apps. We talked about our productivity app and our search app. But what about at work? All of you use AI at work. It is predicted by Co2, which is a top fund in the US, that AI will lead to a productivity improvement measured by per capita output more than PC and mobile internet. This graph is kind of interesting. It's for Americans about how many employees on the average do you need to make $1 million of revenue. So in the PC era, when PC came out, it went from 7.8 employees to 5.1 employees to make $1 million. Big improvement. Then you'll say, well, Dr. Lee just said mobile, also huge. But actually, mobile didn't lead to that, right? Mobile started roughly 2008 till today, still hovering around 5.1. I can only explain that maybe the productivity gain we got with mobile, we also wasted time with products like TikTok. So maybe it neutralized. But now, it's very strong prediction that 5.1 will go down to 3 with the advent of AI. Right? I saw some of your top engineers learning to code, and I asked him why he's learning to code. He's a business person, entrepreneur. He said, well, I believe what Sam Altman said, which is that there will be one-person billion-dollar companies in the future, right? And this is only a three-person million-dollar company. But with the power of GenAI, you can make a billion-dollar company with one person, because AI can code for you, AI can write your marketing brochure. You just have the idea, AI does the execution. So I think this is just the first step. I think we're going to see much more beyond that. So for those of you who are running companies, the old way was we think about departments, right? You have leaders and managers and directors, groups, products, sales. Every time you want to do something, you add people. But it's important to realize that there was a term called software as a service. You probably all heard that, right? But today, we're in an era where it's service as software. All the things in your organization that are done by people now can be done by AI. So your customer service is a service that you provide. But you're now providing service as software. That is, you're taking software, you're taking AI to become your primary customer service agent. You may still need a small number of customer service to provide intimate top accounts, key accounts. You still may need some people to watch over and improve the AI models. But really, anything in your company that's considered a service will become software. Recently, Jensen Huang talked about human resources. Sorry if there are HR people in the room. He said it, I didn't, is that in the future, the HR department will be run by AI. Because what's recruiting? Recruiting is finding the best people. AI can do a better job than humans. It's about connecting them with the right interviewers. Well, humans can do it better. It's about persuading them to join the company. AI can do better. What is performance evaluation? It's comparison of results against preset goals. Well, AI can do better. And then what's more is, in the future, when you close the loop, AI will say, these are my top performing employees. I want to hire more people like them. These are the people I fired. I don't want to hire any more people like them. So you have a full closed loop run by HR. Now, I would augment what Jensen said. HR still provides a lot of value in contextual understanding, in human-to-human connection, in helping to understand what's going on in the organization, helping to plan strategically. So a lot of that, people-to-people, is still done by HR. But other than people-to-people work, service organizations like HR, like marketing, like accounting, like accounts payable, like much of finance, like some of sales, like customer support, are all going to be on the right-hand side. And I think all of you need to be prepared for that. And I think it's important, those of you who are in middle management, don't get in the way of making this happen. This is the right thing. It will happen. It must happen. You can delay it by a year or two, but only to the detriment of your company. Do not protect your turf by saying, oh, I run customer service. It's a 700-person organization. If I use AI chatbot, my department will go from 700 down to 70. I lose power. Well, you're going to lose it one way or another. You might lose your job because your competitors did it faster and your boss saw you as a resistant force, right? So embrace change is something we must do. And when all AI takes over, but the flip side is much of what AI will do in the next 2 or 3 years are relatively routine, not innovative work. So for people who are really good at customer service, accounting, law, and so on, they will have a place. They will be the masters of AI. So your best employees will rise up and become so much more productive. The other ones, they are relieved from the work because they can't beat AI. So I think in a lot of ways, don't blame AI and don't pretend AI can come later. AI is coming fast and furious. So what we got to do is embrace AI. We know it's going to come sooner or later. Let's try to understand it, use it, apply it, and elevate people who can now master AI to a higher level. For those people who can't, there are many, many other jobs to be had. Companies need to label data, still need to teach AI in all kinds of ways. Companies need to figure out how to do prompt engineering. There are many other new work AI will create. It's better off sending your people who are doing routine work to do routine, useful, new work that helps AI, as opposed to routine, useful work, but that can better be done by AI. Let's give up on those jobs. It's good for them, it's good for you, it's good for your company. So all of these opportunities are all over the place. We can see a lot of countries starting to look at applying AI in energy, healthcare, transportation, and digitization. I think you're familiar with all of this. I saw good examples in the hub. And there are many, in the future, in my book, if you haven't read my book, this was written in 2020, during the beginning of COVID. I thought I would have an unproductive year, so I would write a book. I finished it at the end of 2020, published in 2021. And interestingly, all of these predictions, including chapter 3, which is on GenAI, appears to be happening. Because many people call themselves futurists. And then they say, well, I predicted this 3 years ago. I predicted this 5 years ago. But where's your evidence, I would ask them. This is my evidence. The book was published by Penguin in 2021. And you can see a lot of my predictions are coming true, including all the great things about AI and also a lot of the dangers. So we have to really be careful about the kinds of issues related to privacy, autonomous weapons, the use of AI for deepfake, the use of AI to fool people for fraudulent behavior, and the use of AI to do illegal terrorism acts and so on. So AI really is a wonderful gift, but it's also a very dangerous weapon. So we have to really be conscientious to take it and use it in all the right ways. So going beyond today, we talked about, on the left, we saw the first year of LLMs. That was 2 years ago. And then we're going to begin to see all the apps to be rewritten in the third wave of AI revolution. Super intelligent apps will come around. Agents will start to appear after that. And then after that, humanoid robots, embodied AI, world models will emerge. All of this will happen in the next 5 years. It's very, very fast. So one mistake I made in my book was I made a 20-year prediction. And I think all of that will happen in the next 5 to 8 years. It's going to be much faster. So from the time I wrote the book, I said 20 years, it's going to be more like 10 or even less. So it's incredibly exciting for all of us to be in this era. And this is a video that shows the kind of capabilities we see in embodied AI. And this embodied AI is now really using LLM transformer types of technologies connected to large model that can watch human and start to do tasks. So we're beginning to see these really intelligent robots that appear everywhere. My prediction is not everything will be will be humanoid. Many of them will actually look like, a cooking robot won't look like a human chef. It will look like a big pot, right? Just like a cleaning robot might look like a little car, not like someone sweeping. But there are some cases where humanoid makes sense, but humanoid comes with a certain cost, and that may be needed in certain scenarios. But in many cases, wheels are more stable, are cheaper, and understood. And of course, autonomous vehicles will become the platform on which, so there are two things that will make these robots possible. One is LLMs that will make it possible for them to interact with us. The other is autonomous vehicle, which has all the navigation operating system. If you can make a car drive itself, you can make the robot walk. So those are also things that are predicted in 2041. So autonomous vehicles and LLMs will make the embodied AI, the humanoid AI, come true in the next few years. So the question then comes to, what can AI not do? What's the future for us? I think there are still things that AI cannot do. And honestly, the list is shrinking. But I think there's two ways to look at the problem. One is, oh my God, our options are limited. But another way to look at it is, maybe this is our creator's way to send a message to us. Anything we're destined to do shouldn't be things that machines can do. Why should we compete with machines? It's a message from the creator. We should not waste our time copying spreadsheets. We should not be wasting our time editing, translating documents. We should not be wasting our time answering mundane, routine questions from our customers. AI can do that for us. So let's seek what are the things AI cannot do, because that will tell us what we should do. So there's a number of things AI cannot do. AI cannot do breakthrough creation. AI can't really do an entrepreneurial company like the ones I saw. AI cannot run a complex company like the job I have, so my job is safe for now. AI cannot feel empathy or compassion. Some people will say AI can fake it. You are correct. AI can fake empathy and compassion. But do you know any human who likes the fake compassion faked by AI? We don't, right? Because we have that human-to-human connection and trust. It's possible that 5 generations from now, the people, our descendants, will be okay with that. But we're not going to accept it. So service jobs, human-to-human jobs, are going to flourish. People are going to need more time to take care of each other. Jobs such as homeschooling children, jobs such as taking care of elderlies in retirement homes, foster homes. These are jobs that are not well paid. They don't have a high social status, but they really add to the positive energy in the world, and they contribute to the general well-being of the people. So many also professions like teachers and doctors, they'll be transformed. The doctor of the future will not be a perfect diagnostician, because AI will diagnose 99% of the doctors. So for the most of the doctors, they will consult AI to give the diagnosis. Of course, they need to make the final decision, but AI is almost always more right than the doctors. What's the role of the doctor? The role of the doctor is to spend more time with the patient, to listen patiently, to dig out things that a robot, an AI, wouldn't know, to talk about why they're unhappy, how did they get sick, their family history, to tease out that data to feed into AI so AI can be more accurate. The doctor will also have more time for patients. I don't know about Kazakhstan, but in China, when we go see a doctor, usually we get 5 minutes. Doctor's like, what's the symptom? Let me check. Okay, this is the problem. Go get your medicine, right? It doesn't make us feel better. It makes us feel, cheap, right? So what do we want? We want compassionate doctors. We want doctors that show that they care, that they track you, they follow you, they message you, they maybe even visit you at home. And if you have a serious disease, they will give you comfort and give you confidence, right? We've all heard about placebo effect, right? Because the fact that someone gives me confidence makes me heal better. The fact someone tells me you're going to die soon makes me die sooner. I was a lymphoma patient about 12 years ago. I was diagnosed with a late-stage lymphoma. But I had a great doctor. He spent a lot of time with me. And that kind of doctor, not only did he give me good medicine and good treatment, good chemotherapy, but his comfort, I'm confident, was a major factor that I recovered. So imagine if your doctor is like an AI, says you have lymphoma stage 4, most patients like you die in 3 years. There's a 10% chance you might not die, good luck, right? Is that gonna help you? But what if that doctor says, well, Dr. КайФуЛи had the same kind of lymphoma. 12 years later, he's fine. So do what he did, and you have a good chance of making it, right? Then it kicks in that placebo effect. So the job of a doctor transforms into an expert diagnostician into one where it's a compassionate caregiver. And now you can extrapolate that to every profession, to salespeople, to tourist guides, to concierge, to lawyers, and so on. You might say lawyers, no, but actually I was under a very serious lawsuit. I was sued by Microsoft for a very, very serious allegation, which were untrue. But really, it was my doctors. One of my law firm, Google hired a phenomenal law firm for me. One of the lawyers, I'm now convinced, her task was make sure Kai-Fu goes to court with full confidence and speaks in a trustworthy way and holds his head up high, and the judge will believe him, right? That doctor's job was not, that lawyer's job was not to tell me the law. There were other lawyers who did that. But that compassionate lawyer, that cheerleader lawyer, turned out to be also a critical reason that I didn't lose the lawsuit. So I think those jobs are transformations that will happen. Teachers, will not be the people who pass on knowledge of mathematics, addition, subtraction, fractions, and history. They will not be the teachers who make the kids remember the history of this country or that city. AI can do a better job. AI can make learning fun. But we need teachers to take that human capability, to take that humanness about the human love and compassion, about the importance of high EQ, about the importance of communication, teamwork, building trust, about how to make a good first impression, about how to influence people and make friends. Those are the things teacher will do. So hopefully after I give you these examples, you'll be convinced that your children will be fine. They just won't be doing your jobs. They'll be doing new jobs that are more fulfilling, more valuable, may not be higher paid, but who cares about pay? AI will make so much money and distribute to your kids and my grandkids. They will make universal basic income. No one has to worry about money. So it's about finding satisfaction. It's about making an impact. It's not just about making a living. And Industrial Revolution really brainwashed us in terrible ways. Think about the days of brilliant people like Rockefeller and Ford and all those people. What did they do? They realized they were making assembly lines. They were turning people who were craftsmen, crafting a beautiful, one-of-a-kind car, into assembly line workers who basically do the same hammer and nail every day, every single day of their lives. So what did they do? They created what was called the American dream. It was work hard, make a good living, you can buy a house, buy a car, your kids will have a better life. So we got brainwashed to think our job can be routine and useless. As long as we make a good living, we work hard, our children will be better off. That was brainwashing so that we service the capitalists and the industrialists to make billions of dollars that they made. And they're brilliant entrepreneurs, great, but we can't no longer subject ourselves to that mentality with which we feel, let's do routine jobs, future will be better. It's time to ask the question. AI has taken all the routine jobs away. The positive side of that is we've been liberated from having to do routine jobs. Let's have no fear that we don't have a job for a while. Let's find what it is that we can do, what it is that we can do that contributes to our well-being, satisfies our curiosity, and makes the world a better place. So if we look kind of towards the future, many jobs will go away. This shows you that within a very short time horizon, these jobs will be replaced. I've been saying this for years. Many people thought I was outrageous, that now they saw that this is inevitable. Now everybody believes it. So what happens to these jobs? There are these jobs left that will be creative, complex, as well as jobs that are empathetic. AI will create new jobs and transform new jobs. So these are not going to be the only jobs that are left. There are going to be many others. So the last thing I want to talk about is Kazakhstan and AI. I feel that really GenAI is the new electricity. So we're at the precipice of the invention of electricity. We're about to make the electrical grid, okay? And the electricity and AI are parallels in the sense that you take raw materials, solar, coal, wind, turn it into a power, electricity, and use electricity to power your vehicles, lights, and phones. We all know that. But now AI is the same. We're taking all kinds of data, text data, audio data, video data, label data, post-training data, prompt data, and they turn into LLMs that enable us to create the AI doctor, the AI teacher, and the robots. So that is the new AI revolution. That's as big as electricity, if not much, much bigger. So what are the issues that face us? The very issue is that if you look at the American LLMs, they are not right for you. The left-hand side shows you, using Llama 2 as an example, that Russian comprises only 0.13% of all the Llama data, and Kazakh is less than 0.01%. So no wonder Llama performs very poorly in your language, as does ChatGPT. And then on the right-hand side, you see the various performance numbers on Kazakh benchmarks. And you can see here, even good models are only in the 60s and 70s. And we saw earlier that the best models for English are in the 90s. So Kazakhstan deserves a model in the 80s and 90s so that you can be made as productive as Americans who use English for ChatGPT. But American companies don't care about languages that are not languages that make a lot of money with a lot of people. So American companies, I've worked for Apple, Microsoft, Google, with no exception. They only care about US, then English-speaking countries, then after that, maybe large European countries, then Japan. The rest of the world, good luck. It could be a decade before Kazakh is as good as English is right now. And there's no possibility that OpenAI will change that. In fact, it is even worse for many other languages. At least there are 20 million people who speak Kazakh. At least there are 200 million people who speak related Turkic languages. It's large enough to do something, but think about other smaller languages. There are 6,000 languages that will be pushed into extinction because they're much smaller, 6 million or fewer people, and because they're generally in poorer African countries. And it's very sad to know that thousands of years of culture will disappear because ChatGPT decided to not focus on those languages. They'll work great for English, okay for some languages, so-so for Kazakh. But also, I think you should own your own model because you can't rely on the American model. Am I saying you should rely on Chinese model? Absolutely not. You should also not use my model. My model is also biased. It's biased for Chinese people. ChatGPT is biased for American people. You want one that serves your people, your religion, your values, your language. So the effort like Kazakh LLM is something I really applaud and think you have a chance to be the first country that says, well, our language is not well served by other countries. We believe we need to collect our data, train our model, align it to our values so people can feel good using it and it can perform well against anyone else. So in my company, we've been working with a number of countries, and we hope that we can provide some value as well. So in terms of the sovereign models that you might be able to create, there are processes that we've gone through in creating the Chinese model. We could share them with you. We have technologies, models, tools, and then building LLMs. To the extent you feel we can play a role, we'll be happy to contribute and partner with you. So in terms of your national strategy, I think it comes down to really three things. One is believe AI will take off, build a lot of AI infrastructure. It's as important as the power grid. Except that this infrastructure is not for training, it's for inference. is for your people, your government, your companies to be able to use the massive explosion of the AI apps that will come out. So build the infrastructure, get the inference chips, get the applications built. Second is own your sovereign model. Don't leave your fate to any other country or any foreign company. And then thirdly, build it fast. You saw how much, at the speed at which AI is getting smarter, AI is getting better, AI is getting smaller and faster. AI will not wait for anyone. AI is here for companies and countries that are action-oriented. AI is here now, so please grasp it and make your own destiny possible. Thank you very much. Okay. Seems like a lot of questions. Should I just ask? Yes, please.
So, Mr. Lee, thank you so much for your lecture. My name is Karim, and I'm a scholar of international relations. I was going to ask you a question about the empathy of artificial intelligence, but it seems that you have partially asked this question. But despite, I would like to address my questions to you. So, when you, as I'm a scholar, when you do your literature review, you will try to understand what's the best strategy, for example, for the United States. Is it will be better for the United States to be engaged for the regional conflicts, or will it be better for the United States to restrain itself? And I think that this question is more tied with the philosophical understanding of the international relations, yeah? And how can you imagine yourself if artificial intelligence could produce such kind of deep understanding, such kind of things, thoughts that can express the deep understanding of international relations, how the scholars can coexist with this kind of new employees? Thank you.
Okay. There are actually, one of the areas I didn't get into is there are two kinds of AI now. One is kind of the liberal arts AI, the other is kind of the engineering science AI. The kind of AI we use is largely the liberal arts AI. So basically it's fast thinking. It's things that are embodied in our brain. So when you ask a question, words start to come out. And whether it's poetry, literature, ideas about foreign policy, it just keeps going forward and making it come out. The other is engineering. And that's, if you've heard about O1 and O3, these are two new products from OpenAI. They revolve more around deep thinking, analytic thinking. So things that don't have an obvious answer, that require reflection and chain of thought to create an answer. So if your question is more about, can you pretend you're US and how do you think about a particular foreign policy situation, I think the former would generally apply. And in fact, you can use AI to role play. Just as I mentioned earlier, you can tell AI you're a brilliant psychiatrist and you're an excellent orator. Answer my question. You can say you are a strategist for the American Center for Diplomatic Relations. You work for Brookings. You're an expert on China. What would you do on this? Then it will give you a good answer. Then you can, as a researcher, you can say, well, now you're a famous researcher in the China think tank. And now you're thinking about China's counter response to this, this, and that. So this is how you could do research and get multiple viewpoints and give you diversity of thoughts and different perspectives. So that would be kind of one way. But to the extent you're thinking about strategizing in a way that could be slow thinking, you might want to instead use an O1 or O3 kind of a product that will cause it to go through different chains of thoughts and ideas and thinking, rethinking, criticize yourself, improve yourself. So I think in the future, before you open ChatGPT, well, until you have your sovereign models ready, you keep using ChatGPT. And when you use it, think about your question. Is your question a liberal arts flow of thoughts process, or is it a problem that you think you can just go through one writing, or is it a problem that will cause you to think and rethink for hours, if not days? And if it's the latter, you want to call the O1 and O3 model to help you.
Thank you so much for the lecture. My question would be, so since AI is heavily reliant on technologies may it possibly create a like even bigger disparity between technologically advanced countries and countries of global south, say? Thank you.
Absolutely. It is a huge problem. AI is a magnifier of disparities and haves and have-nots. Within the country, people like Elon Musk and Sam Altman will be living among the super giants because they are making trillions of dollars, literally, right? And compared to an American, person living in the Rust Belt, they're having trouble finding a job. So the gap between that Rust Belt resident and Elon Musk is increasing by maybe 10 times every few years. It's increasing dramatically. But within one country, US can choose to tax Elon Musk and give money to the person in Rust Belt, send them to training courses, giving them universal basic income, helping them to lift themselves out of the hole that they're in. But between countries, that cannot happen. United States or another wealthy country isn't about to give $1 trillion to Africa to say, we're going to help you lift out, right? US bears responsibility for the poorer people in the Rust Belt, but US doesn't bear responsibility for the African countries. So I feel very, very worried that the disparity among countries will multiply. And I think, I wish I had an answer. It is one of my biggest worries right now. And, ideally, there should be one government for the world. Then we can take care of everybody. But we all know that's not going to happen. So I think it's just going to be through philanthropy, through people who are well-intentioned. There have been good moves, like I think Facebook tried to provide free internet to Africa for a while. I don't know how far that went. But those are really the issues. But that aside, I think Kazakhstan is in a very interesting place because you're a reasonably wealthy country and you have a reasonably educated people and you have an enlightened government that embraces AI. So I think if countries are going to be divided into the haves and have-nots, I think there's a good chance that Kazakhstan will be in the haves. So that is the good part. But still, we should think about the whole world because, more than citizens of any one country, we're inhabitants of Earth. And I wish I had a better answer. I saw some of the people here who are social entrepreneurs. Those would be good areas to look into.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for everything you have done for the AI industry. I really appreciate that. I have a real quick question about the data privacy balance and balance between data privacy and large AI-powered models. What is the pros and cons? This is the first question. The second question relates to the 2041 books, where you were talking about the case, Indian case, young family having relationship. There is a boy, there is a girl, fancy girl, I would say poor boy, and there is a playing correlation data. What can be next step for the Central Asia? Let's imagine now it's 2041. Yeah. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Okay, the first question is about large language model that may invade personal privacy. Yeah, so when we do our training about LLM, we actually anonymize the content. We can't claim to do it perfectly, but we have algorithms that try to really remove the privacy content. And as you saw earlier, when ChatGPT first came out, some people's credit card numbers were there and all kinds of problems. So I think the industry is starting to figure this out. And I think there needs to be some deterrent, like there should be laws that if you build an LLM that gives away something really terrible, there should be some punishment. And I think there's already, the media is becoming a watchdog. So I think that is becoming potentially self-regulating. The second part is about one of my stories in AI 2041. Well, I don't want to give the spoiler away of the story, but I would say one of the stories was intended to show that a well-intentioned AI can still cause undesirable externalities. And the example that was used is an AI app that tries to minimize people's insurance costs. Therefore, it ought to make them live healthy, right? But there was some externality that also causes it to believe that if a rich girl married a poor boy, she would be better off. So it became a negative participant to try to separate the two lovers, right? That's an extreme example. The example is not important, but what's important takeaway is that AI is neither good nor bad. It just tries to optimize something we tell it to optimize. But when we don't tell it clearly when we optimize one thing, we're always forgetting their externalities. We can't fully specify everything to an AI, right? It seems like a perfectly good thing to say, minimize my family's insurance costs. That should make me healthier. Good, do it. But then I didn't realize it would cause my daughter to break up with her boyfriend. And that the example is really meant for AI scientists to realize that with great power comes great responsibilities. That AI engineers are programming things in a way that will change people's lives, and that you have to be thoughtful and deliberate and complete in designing your AI algorithms so that it achieves what you want to achieve, but also it has no externality or undesirable and intentional outcomes. So that's kind of what it's intended to portray. But I also want to recommend a video for you called Social Dilemma. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's a fantastic video. In that case, it's much more negative than what I described. It's companies that want to make money. And in order to make money, they want engagement. And the biggest form of engagement is negativity. And that's why social media use AI to show you negative things that make you angry, because that creates engagement and they make money. So that's even a worse example, because how can a social media company resist the temptation to make money? We all know they can't. And in order for them to make money, they make us angry. So that is a much bigger problem. And both problems are real. So that's why AI people really need to be cognizant not to fall in the trap of making mistakes in either way. Thank you.